What's up, Broncos country? This is Adam from the future, and I'm telling you to like, share, and subscribe, and do it quick before Adam becomes famous. And now, keep your eye on the ball. What's up, Broncos country, and welcome to another episode of Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football, provided to you by your host, me, Adam, who has the mind of a journalist, but the heart of a true blue Denver Bronco diehard, where I bring you sober facts and solid analysis. There are no sound bites, no hot takes, and if I say something controversial, it's because I've already thought about it. This week, we'll be talking about the Denver Bronco defensive line and defensive ends because, frankly, that's all we do around here. We just analyze. We just do position reviews. When we get to the season, I'll be doing I won't be doing any more position reviews. This was way too intensive of a project, and I'm glad you guys like this, but wow, it's been a lot. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode, and I'll provide you who I think will be impact players for your Broncos this year, backups, and the best of the rest. So without any more talking, let's jump in. It's now time for our defensive line review, where I'll be looking at the defensive ends and defensive tackles for the Broncos this year. I will be providing a graphic to go along with the starters and giving you my thoughts on who I think will be trotting out there first on the opener in Seattle. First, we have Zach Allen. No big surprises there. He was one of our big free agent acquisitions last year. He is a prototype 3-4 defensive end. He is good in run defense. He's also good at rushing the passer. I think that he struggled a little bit in the first half of last season, and you saw him really start to come on at the end. By all accounts, he's had a great training camp, and I know that the defensive staff is really hoping for big things from Allen this year. I think you could have him be in that conversation to maybe be a Pro Bowler at the end of the end. I'm being totally serious. At nose tackle, you have DJ Jones, who is a little bit smaller and untraditional nose tackle, but it does remind me a little bit of what the Broncos used to do with Sylvester Williams and Wade Phillips in his defense during the Super Bowl years. When you have a smaller defensive tackle at the nose tackle spot, it actually lets you be a little bit more creative with your run blitzes and your run coverages, and also you don't always have to sub out as much to get a better pass rusher in there for obvious pass rushing downs. So it's a benefit that Jones is in there, but something to keep an eye on because I do think that they'll be just doing something differently with the nose tackle position if Vance Joseph is with us next year, and the fact that Jones is also on his last year of his deal. Then moving on, we have John Franklin Myers. He is our recent acquisition from the Jets. He is another guy maybe like a step below Zach Allen as far as quality and production, but in the same mold. He is more of a 3-4 defensive end. Just a small step back as far as rushing the passer and run defense, but still, he is much more of a fit than some of the guys that they had going into that last year. And I'm actually really excited about what they've done with the line because I think they're really going to be improved versus the run, and I think you're going to see a more consistent pass rush this year. So we stay with the review of the backups. This is going to be a little bit interesting because it's going to depend on how many players the team thinks that they can have on the 53. I say it's probably going to be around 6 or 7. So I'm making my predictions based on that. There's one guy that thinks it's a surprise, that might be a surprise. I'm going to give you my reasons why I think they include them. First, we start off with Malcolm Roach. He is a newly signed player from New Orleans. Roach's superpower is that he is great versus the run. If he could give you anything as far as a pass rush, he would be in the starting lineup. But this one quality is amazing. In just watching him in one preseason game, I think we're going to be much, much improved versus the run this year, and that can be directly tied into what Roach is going to do. My second spot is going to go to Uwama Uwazurike. he is a bit of an interesting case. He is a player coming back from a gambling suspension, which basically wiped out all of his season last year. He looks like a guy that hasn't played football in a year, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get his conditioning up to speed. It's going to take a little bit of time to get that football mindset back. And while he has shown flashes of that in training camp, it just hasn't been through consistently. He was also a bit of a project when they drafted him, so I don't know that they can get him through on waivers. And I think that's why they're going to keep him. Not because I think he's one of the 53 best guys on the roster, but I think he'll probably play better towards the end of the year, and he's way too talented for another team not to take a chance on him. So, and then lastly, we have Matt Hensigen. I am going with Hensigen over Angelo Blackson for this reason. He is scheme versatile. And when you have 53 spots on a roster, you have to find guys that can do different things. Hensigen can play nose tackle and defensive end and defensive tackle. He can give you a pass rush from the nose tackle spot if you need it. He can be an adequate run defender at defensive end or defensive tackle. He gives you nothing but effort. He's a consummate backup. You need those guys on the roster. And while I think Angelo Blackson may be a little bit better as far as being outside, I think Hensigen can do more things, and I think that's why I'm going to give him the nod. I think it's going to come down to those two for that last defensive line spot. Whoever doesn't, I think Blackson actually gets picked up if the Broncos don't keep him. Hensigen may be a practice squad candidate if they can bring him back. But again, he does a lot of things, so even he would be an asset to another team on the waiver wire. So it'll be interesting where they go on who they keep and who they decide to let go. And now we get into the best of the rest. As I mentioned, there is Angelo Blackson. If there is somebody that they keep and they go with that 7th defensive lineman, I can see where they feel like he's just too good to put him out on waivers as well, and that somebody will keep him or somebody will pick him up. Keep in mind, in the NFL, there are certain positions where if you can find quality, you just pick them up and you find a place for them. And one of those is defensive line. So it may be a case that if Denver doesn't find a home for him, somebody else will. Moving along, we have Elijah Garcia. He was a training camp darling last year and he had some moments in preseason. He made the final roster and then was a game day inactive. And from what I saw from him this last preseason and this last camp, he's been running almost exclusively with the third team. Just doesn't seem like he's taking that next step in his development. Then we have Jordan Jackson. I'm reading my notes. Sorry for the weird pause there. He is an Air Force kid, actually, and more of a nose tackle type. It is being reported from Mike Kliss, who is one of the beat writers for the Broncos, that he thinks he's actually going to make the 53-man roster. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot from him. He just runs the third team from everything I've seen in the preseason. But if Kliss, who follows the team and sees them every day, likes them enough, then that counts for something. And then lastly, we have Jordan Miller out of SMU. He actually had a pre-draft visit with the Broncos and ended up not being drafted, but still being brought on as an undrafted rookie free agent. Still running with the third and fourth team, but if there is a guy that I think could earn a practice squad spot, I think it's Miller. If they brought him in for a pre-draft visit, brought him back as an undrafted free agent, they probably do really like something with him, and it just may be a numbers thing right now or an experience thing, and he needs another year of development. So those are my picks for the best of the rest. Tell me what you think in the comments. So as we get this next episode in the can, remember, I will be getting a quarterback and specialist review here out soon by the end of the week. I need to get these finished up before we have cut down day, or else it kind of defeats the purpose of having a roster review. So I will get that to you sooner. For anybody who is already getting an idea of when my videos come out, I'm going to try to get it out earlier. That's all I need to say. And I need to talk about Leather Brains. What is Leather Brains? I'm glad you asked. Leatherbrains is a website that has been doing podcasts for a little bit and now is branching off into written content. And they've decided to bring me on to cover NFL news and Broncos news. So I'll be getting you a written article every week for the Broncos and for NFL news. And I am super excited. I'm a writer by trade, so to be able to produce more content for you guys to get in, interact with, I'm super excited about. As always, remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe, remember to buy me presents, and as always, keep your eye on the ball, and I'll talk to you next time. Football, I'm deciding how I want to sit in the frame. Here. Anyway, and I was in the middle of an intro before I got distracted with something shiny. Anyway, we'll edit that out.